Hi YouTube, it's Roxanne here from Rox's Cards and Crafts and also admin for the Cricket Expression group on Facebook. This Aperture card, it's all in the files, so I'm going to show you how to do this insert that you can see, the happy birthday insert, and also how to duplicate Ellie Elephant, which you'll see on the left hand side there. So she's just mirrored and duplicated and stuck on the inside so you don't see from behind. I'll show you how to use it. We're using Shortcuts a Lot 5, so it's an S-cut file. And I'm not showing you how to design it, just how to show you a bit in Shortcuts a Lot 5 and then show you how to put the card together. So moving ahead, let's begin. So what I thought I might do is just take you through the Shortcuts a Lot 5 part of it. I've already actually designed the Aperture card, but I will explain it. But you need to know how to cut out Ellie Elephant, and I just want to explain how I put things, and then in fast forward I think we'll do the cutting process. So what an Aperture card is something with a hole in it. So we've got Ellie sitting at the front of this card, and when you open it you will see Ellie at the front, and then if you duplicate and make a copy of her, when you open it you've got that mirror image sitting on the back, and that hides the back of the front design. So that's why we need to make a duplicate of Ellie. So she is now highlighted, and what I'm going to do is go Control D, and this panel will turn up. Just go Total Columns and go 2, or you could go Rows. Alright, and just go OK. Now we don't want this little Ellie Elephant going the same way, because when you turn the card over it needs to be reversed. So all you need to do is come over here and go to Flip, and that's all you need to do. Now you can do this one of two ways. So you've got to be cutting out. She's quite easy to cut out, and at this size none of the pieces are really that small. This is a 6x4 card, so 4 inches wide. So the card square is 8 inches to start off with and 6. And then I just went to the shapes, did an aperture, cut that out, make sure the headings and everything work, they don't overlap everything. This is the inside of the card, which I've done a special happy birthday. I actually cut the someone special out in vinyl. So I want to cut the card first. I'll be cutting the card first and going through the process with you. But here what I want to show you, I'm just going to get rid of this heading here, and my computer with Shortcuts a Lot 5 seems to be a little bit slow. It is when I'm using a program, a screenshot videoing program, so it does go a little bit slower. Sorry about that. I'm going to bring back the grid. So I just go over to show grid. I don't always like working with grid. Now what I also like doing is putting everything that I cut down the bottom. It's closer for me to see. So if you go Load Mat, when your cut is finished, you press Load Mat, not Unload Mat. And by pressing Load Mat, it still keeps the mat in the same position, and it allows you that if you need to cut that in directly the same position again, all you have to do is just press Cut again, rather than if you spat it all the way out, you can't guarantee you would get it in the exact same place. So that's a tip. But because of me putting things down the bottom here, I can also see, like I said, if I do Load Paper again, it spits it out and I've got my work down here closer to me. I haven't got it stuck up there with the rollers and the blade getting in the way. So I've learned to put things down here. And because I've got this set up so that my images can go all over the mat, okay, I like to make sure that I put my cardstock, and in this case I'll be cutting this in a 12 by 12, so it doesn't really matter. But I always like positioning things on the 11-11 axis or the 1-1. So I just choose a point where the point of the card will go. So like if I wanted to put that up to the 1-1, I would stick that roughly there. Take the card over a little bit, and then that's where it will cut. All right. But I've got it down the bottom. Now with the elephant, I'll just show you this. So I'm going to hide a few things, and by hiding, all you need to do, once again, come over to your layers and find things. So that looks like the card, and I'm going to hide those two. They're the frames for the aperture. I'm going to focus on Ellie here. I'm going to move the one that goes on the inside over to this here, so that this box will fit about the 7-1-7 axis, okay? And that's where it's sort of going to stay. So see his left ear, her left ear, and the tip of her hair. So I want it to be sort of I want her to be in that space. So if I was going to cut a 1, 2, 3, 4 by 4 inches, I know I can work within that 4 by 4 area. So I'm working in that area. See the foot? So the ear isn't coming past there. And on your actual mat, you will stick a 4 by 4 piece of paper in that exact area. Same goes for over here. I'm working in that area, so that's the 11-11, so it's not touching there, that line up there. We might work with this, so 4 by 4 again. So let's take her down a bit. You can highlight it and use your nudge arrows. They're excellent to use. Right, and then put her in the middle, just nudge it over so it's sort of in the middle. And that's where I'm going to leave though. So when I cut them, all my images have a black shadow. So I'm going to go and look for, I'm just going to bring up all the layers. I think that's that one. So there are all the layers, the eyes, the ears, the feet. So I want this black shadow, and that's the first one that I'm going to cut. So let's pretend that I want to go and cut. See how they're all blue? Just click on that black silhouette outline of Ellie. And we're focusing on the right hand side one now. If you wanted to do them both at the same time, highlight her, see where she is. We need to bring in all of her layers, and then we also want to just choose the black. So at the moment we've got the two blacks. Alright, so you need to choose your shift button and black. So it doesn't look like it here, but when you go to cutter and then go cut with Cricut, and I promise you this is probably the longest part of the video, so just keep watching. You will do this process with all of the cutting. It's about positioning your image where you want it to, putting your cardstock on your actual mat and then cutting. So all I can see is the black images and not the whole thing, because I've got cut selection only. If I didn't have cut selection only, it would be a big jumbled mess. So please put cut selection only, because I've only selected the black, and then position. We'll see in fast forward me positioning that on the mat, and then you press cut. Alright, it's that simple. And then hide it. So let's just, so the next thing I want to cut is her grey little body. So I'm going to go and find her grey body. So there's one. And then holding down the move first, and we'll go and find the other one. So that's the left one, and then behind her is, so then hold the shift key down and press the other body, and they're both then highlighted. Then you go to cutter, cut with Cricut, and then the only thing you will see, because you have that cut selection only, will be her grey body. See? So that's her grey body, and I haven't moved them. So then I'll put the other bit of paper, which is still within the 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've just gone ahead and cut 4 by 4 square papers, put them down, and then you press cut. See, so now all I've got is the pink. So we're going to go cut. So let's pretend I've cut that. So on and so forth. So what I'll do is I'll just hide that again and hide the ears, so that all I've got left is another 3 colours. So I've got the pink of the eyes, which are there. So I'm just going to go ahead and speed the rest of this up. So with the eye whites, I have actually moved them when I haven't moved the others, because I just wanted to leave all the images cut and left on the mat. And I just needed to find a position where the whites could go. So I've selected, this is the middle, so that's a 6 by 6 axis, and then you've got 2 lines above, 2 lines or 2 spaces underneath this area here. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, so I've left all those other ones on the mat, and the middle of the mat is about there, so I've just stuck a white piece of paper there and a white piece of paper there. So the grids on your actual mat match the grids on your virtual mat. So you just have to work out whereabouts on your grid that you are going to put the paper. You don't have to keep lifting everything off all the time. Okay, so I've cut all the shapes out, which I'll show you after this screen capture video. Now I just want to explain the card, if I can go and find that. It should be down the bottom. So I'll unhide that. As I explained, the card is 8 wide by 6 down. Okay, if you don't want this perforated line in the middle of it, you can right click and ungroup. And all you have to do is hide it if you don't want it. Okay, it doesn't look that bad when it's cut out. This is what Cricut did with their cartridges. So we were used to using perforated lines that creased our cards. I don't mind it personally. It looks fine. You can't even tell. It actually gives it a nice clean crisp, a crisp line. So I would leave it in there so that so it folds better. And then I'd put the hole in there. So cut that. This is the inside of the card. It actually measures 4.75 by 5.75, so you've got a bit of a border on the inside once again. So I've got a 12 by 12 over here for the main card. And from the main card, that's the wrong colour, so from the main card, I'm also going to cut the shadow for the word. So I've already gone ahead and pre-done Someone Special, which is the sentiment at the front, in vinyl. As I said earlier, it was just a bit easier to cut out, but it's going to be put on the same cardstock colour as your card base, which I thought that was the colour, but I didn't have my light on at the time. And all of these are for, so I've got some cut out for the frame that goes around the aperture. That's it cut out in cardstock. So the cardstock I'm using is about 216 GSM. So it's a good consistency for a card. You wouldn't want to go any lighter than that. It's called, I think it's the brand American cardstock. American company cardstock. I get it from Spotlight stores over here. That's for the ears and the feet. That's for the eyes. That's for the eyes. That's for the white eyeballs. So I've gone ahead and cut everything. So now you don't need this many mats. You can start off with this. I just happen to have a heap of mats. And then, so then when I've finished cutting out, this will be for the left and the right. Well, the front of the card and the one that goes in the back of the card that's mirrored. So I keep that to the left. I keep the front to the right. I'll then turn it around and then go ahead and cut the grey body, so on and so forth. So if you just like to just keep watching and see the process. So let's start with, you don't need to see the machine itself, so I'm just loading it. Okay, so I've cut the main card, so I'm just going to turn that over. It's always good to turn your mat over. Take the backing off. So folding this card in half, you can start by lining up the corners. Gently press that down to find the crease and just crease that nicely. And then get your bone folder. And that'll give you the perfect card setting. So I'm going to add what I cut the vinyl. Put it on the sticky mat. And I like it's great. Just got to burnish some of the, I have been using this transfer tape quite a bit at the moment. But just persevere. And it's just a matter of lining it up. And there's your heading. I think it's much easier than using cardstock. So that's that. Let's turn that over. Let's take that off. And that will sit on the front of your card like that. So what's going to happen with the other one is that that's going to sit inside your card, and that little heading is going to sit inside there. So I'll do that. Just tap it lightly. Alright, so we've got to duplicate this little guy. Let's go to Object and Duplicate. Just press 1. And then we're going to move that over like I explained before. So we also need to flip this guy because it's going the same way. It needs to be flipped. Alrighty. Going to take these guys off. So flip on that over and just take the back off. Doesn't really matter. So then we've got our left and right shadow. He got cut off a bit there, but I'm not worried about that too much. So turn your mat around, because this is actually the left and the right, that's the left and the right. So we'll peel that off, making sure nothing gets lifted up if it's cut properly. Make sure it all stays on the mat. Alrighty. Now that one has to go on there and that one has to go on there. So what I like to do is I'll show you. Transfer tape that I use for the vinyl won't work well with cardstock. I found the only thing that works well with cardstock is this Scotch removable tape. This is a very tricky part, and this is where on video it's going to take some time. We need to get those all in the right position for everything else to match up. And I found the only way to do this is just to prop I'm going to use this one. See how that moved? Try not let it move. I'm going to have trouble with that ear. Try and get it where you can lift it up. Yeah, so those ears are going to be your problem, so I'm going to leave them behind. Try and do the best we can. Just don't move them, and maybe we can pick them up later. So remember, that one goes on that one, so I'm just going to turn that around. And what that happens is you're going to position it, and they're all going to be nicely positioned. Get a bit of a feel for it. Nothing's out of whack. Just make sure it didn't move before I glue it. You can't rush this part. You've got to make it fun. You've got to have patience. So once again, not too much glue. You don't want the glue, I keep it away from the sides a bit. You don't want the glue seeping through and then making a mess and it goes all shiny. So there's a few ways you can do that. You can let it just go tacky, just let it dry a bit. There we go. As I said, you can let that dry a bit if you wanted to. And it just sticks down, so we'll put that on there. There you go. Now with the ears, I would just try and pick them up. Let's make sure they're up the right way. Turning it around so that's going to go on that ear. That's the beauty about these. And just refer back to your picture. So this is going to take a long time, so you just really need to find your niche with piecing all these things together. So the next thing to go on will be the pink and then the eyes, and it's all done. So I'll get that together for you so you don't have to sit through this tedious chore of paper piecing these things, and I'll get back with the final card. Okay, so what I did for the ears is I grabbed the pink ears. Using that tape, it was much easier. And then I positioned those little grey bits above. That way they're in perfect position. It's much easier to pick up the big bits with these, with this tape. So let me show you the feet. So I'm not moving them, I'm just putting the tape, just making it stick. Let's get this spatula, just go underneath it and underneath it. I mean, I've been paper piecing for years. Unless you're going to pick up every piece individually, go and get yourself some repositional tape. I don't really think masking tape will do it. Right, I'm going to take that back up. And I am looking at my picture. So like I said, that little bit got cut off, but the pink will hide it. And then you waver it over the top, and then you just sit it down and stick the bits down on the side there and just lightly tap. Don't want to swirl the glue out the edges. And then take that off. Now if you do have any glue on the edges, and this is what I did here, and then I put those little bits back in. If you do happen to see any glue, whoop, so like if you move it, you will get smudges of glue, so try and let it dry, but also put it into position while it's still wet. If there's any glue bits, go and get yourself one of these glue rubbers, but wait till the glue is dry. Or what I try and do is I just go around and scrape it up. And that's why you don't want too much glue seeping out. You need to control the flow of the glue. Alright, so I'll finish this one up to that stage, and then I'll do the eyes. Because the back's going to be covered with her facing the other way. See that okay? Make sure I'm not off the mat. So we're just going to glue all over that. Technically you should only just glue the edges, but it doesn't matter because she's going to get covered. So we'll just do the edges for now. Put that paper there so you don't get any glue over your sentiment in the middle of the card. And just position, don't press down, so like just press the edges. Right, so while that's doing that, more fumbly and everything's everywhere, and this is just a normal occurrence for me. So we'll get the reversed one. I will give her a good amount of glue so it definitely sticks. And then it's just a matter of matching up perfectly so you don't see the back when you're looking at the front. Let's make sure that sticks down. I like to go with the hairs, and then you can move it around. It's very easy. You just match up the silhouettes. You can press that in the middle so that she's nice and secure. And that's that precious little card. It looks spectacular in real life, so you then open that up. You've got her there saying happy birthday, and you've got a place to write. It's all done in the cutting files. Just put it together. It is very enjoyable.